the key to success. If you love what you're doing, you will be successful. I welcome each and everyone to the Induction Program 2021 Phase 2 Talk Series conducted by General Program Committee of St. Thomas College, Kozhencherry in association with IQS. St. Thomas College, Kozhencherry is one of the renowned institutions established in 1956. The vision of the institution is to foster academic excellence, moral integrity, and social commitment among students. The college is re-accredited by NAC with A grade in the third cycle and affiliated to Mahatma Gandhi University, Kottayam. Let's begin our program. Prayer should be the key of the day and lock of the night. I invite Devika, DC1 chemistry student, for the invocation.
നന്മയാകുന്ന കാന്തി കാണുവാൻ കണ്ണിനാകേണമേ നല്ല വാക്കിൻ്റെ ചീലു ചൊല്ലുവാൻ നാവിനാകേണമേ സ്നേഹമാകുന്ന ഗീതമായി എൻ്റെ കാതിലിണയാകണേ സത്യമെന്നുള്ള ശീലമോടെ ഞാൻ ശാന്തി അറിയണമേ ഭൂമി അമ്മയെന്നറിയുവാനുള്ള ബോധമുണ്ടാകണേ ജീവജാലങ്ങളാകെയും ജന്മബന്ധുവായിടണേ ജാതിഭേദങ്ങളെന്ന ശാപമോ ദൂരെ മറയണമേ ലോകമൊന്നെന്ന പാഠമെന്നുമെൻ മനസ്സിലെഴുതേണമേ
Thank you, Devika. I would like to call Dr. Anshu Vichalas, Assistant Professor of Botany, for the welcome.
Good morning, one and all. Good morning, one and all. It's another big day in the education journey of St. Thomas College, Kozhencherry. Being an institution which has paid intensive attention in the overall development of each and every student of the institution, we are very curious to organize this induction program for our students. There are hundreds of students in this meeting who are in the process of transformation of their life into psychosocially, educationally, and vocationally purposeful one. In order to acclimatize them well with the institution, they were given first round of induction on the opening day by arranging NEZO 2K21. Now, we are in the second phase of our induction program. Dr. Roy George K. Sir, respected principal of St. Thomas College, has realized the need of intermittent inductions for students and has taken the decision to organize second phase of induction program to provide students an experience of motivation to develop and nurture their dreams. It's my great pleasure to welcome the respected principal of St. Thomas College, Dr. Roy George K. Sir, to this program.
Thank you, madam. Thank you.
St. Thomas College is extremely fortunate to have Sri T.P. Srinivasan IFS, one of India's greatest legends, as the keynote speaker for today's event. Srinivasan sir is the former ambassador and permanent representative of India to the United Nations, who has extended his service in diverse areas such as education, administration, literature, etc. Being a person who touched his hands and make impressions on diverse areas, the experience and wisdom that one could gain from Sri T.P. Srinivasan sir can't be matched with any other source. I was lucky to hear the wisdom of sir a few years back in a program organized at Technopark, Trivandrum. Sir's vision and ideas are truly inspiring. All Malayalis are proud of him and he serves as a role model for those who aspire to go heights. Staff and students of St. Thomas College, Kozhencherry are to be on the front line to welcome him to this program. On behalf of General Program Committee and ITC St. Thomas College, Kozhencherry, I extend a hearty welcome to Sri T.P. Srinivasan. Our happiness to welcome the team members of Prep Academy who were instrumental in arranging the program for our students. The dedicated and cooperative team members of Prep Academy, the Alan Kanaki, Director, Founder, Cloud Works, the Business Development Manager of Academy, and Nanda Krishna, Academic Director, Prep Academy, are attending this meeting. The General Program Committee and IQAC of St. Thomas College heartily welcome you all to this program. The Internal Quality Assurance Cell of St. Thomas College is very keen to observe the needs of students and staffs and act timely to fill the gaps. The support and guidance of Dr. Asha Susan Jacob, the talented and highly spirited coordinator of IQAC, is another inspiration behind the execution of this program. I'm happy to welcome Dr. Asha Susan Jacob, ma'am, to this program. Welcome, teacher. If everyone is moving forward together, then success takes care of itself. Teamwork is the success behind the execution of this program. I extend a hearty welcome to coordinators of General Program Committee, Dr. Roshan George and Dr. Leena Kicharian, and the organizing committee members, Mr. Thomas Matthew and Mr. Matthews John, to this program. I wholeheartedly welcome teachers of the institution who are providing technical support and attending this program. Welcome all dear teachers. Dear students, you are highly diverse in your attitude, aptitude, culture, thinking, hobbies, etc. Your dreams may be different, but all you need is sparks to develop your dreams. Whatever may be your ambition, you need encouragement to make it real. So today, the institution has come up with an excellent motivational program for all the budding young generation of the college. The General Program Committee and IQAC of the college welcome you all to this program. Once again, welcome all and thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Now, I cordially invite respected Principal of St. Thomas College, Kozhencherry, Dr. Roy Jones Prasad, for the principal's remarks.
Thank you, madam. Thank you. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
The Honorable Keynote Speaker of the day, Mr. T.P. Srinivasan, IFS, former Ambassador and Permanent Representative of India in United Nations, respected teachers and dear students. A warm good morning to all of you. Indeed, it gives me great pleasure in being with you through this online platform on the inauguration of our induction program for the newcomers to this center of learning. In fact,
Zoom. No.
In fact, I could visualize the glow
Very good. Okay.
you people bear in your eyes and the throb you hold in your heart. After your high school and +2 level, moving to the college for higher education is the most anticipated phase in the life of any student. The pertinent difference between college life and school life is that in college life, it gives you a sense of freedom. In school life, you are always followed by the instructions of teachers and parents, whereas in college, you take charge of yourself. However, the underlying concept to be conceived is that with a freedom comes a sense of responsibility. This is the life lesson that this institution, our college, aim to inculcate in each one of you. With various approaches and strategies, we are trying to teach you the importance of identifying oneself and to become responsible in your life. You have been provided with an array of armaments in your armory to win your praise and to lead a successful life, beneficial not only to yourself, not only to mankind, but the intricate life-supporting systems of the universe. So in this context, the first step our college is taking in this direction is to have an induction program for our freshers with an aim to bridge the gap between the dualistic tendencies of the life, that is being pessimistic and being optimistic, being introvert and being extrovert, being subjective and being objective, and thereby identifying and nurturing the creative talents hidden in your personality. This year, we found an association with a prep academy, which is expertising in the field of human resource development and training. Through our association with the prep academy, today we have come across with an eminent personality in the form of none other than Mr. T.P. Srinivasan IFS, a diplomat, a former ambassador, and a trainer, a human resource expert. I'm sure that his experience and expertise in the field of human resource management will definitely give you greater insight, which will help you in identifying yourself and set your target and define your trajectory to win. I take this opportunity to express our sincere thanks and appreciation to Dr. T.P. Srinivasan for being with us, for interacting with us, and for providing his valuable time for us. Thank you, Srinivasan sir. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
I also render my appreciation to the team members of the Prep Academy for arranging this event to our students. I will be failing in my duty if I'm not mentioning our General Program Committee who were into this conceptualization and execution of this program. The team consisting of Dr. Roshin, Dr. Leonard T. Cherian, Dr. Thomas Matthew, Dr. Anju, Dr. Miss Sibit, and Matthew Sir, all were working behind the scene in materializing the concept. I thank each one of you for your excellent coordination. Thank you, teachers. I also appreciate the effort taken by our IQC coordinator, Dr. Asha Susan Jacobs, who is instrumental in conceiving the idea of induction program for our freshers. Finally, I appreciate each and every student who are attending this program for the reason that you have shown a desire to win and to be successful. I wish you all the very best, a great future beneficial to all the mankind and all the intricate life supporting system. Thank you, one and all. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, sir. I feel privileged to invite our Honorable Chief Guest, Sri T.P. Srinivasan IFS, who is a former ambassador and permanent representative of India to the United Nations, Vienna, and Governor for India of the International Atomic Energy Agency, Vienna, and Ambassador to Austria and Slovenia. Sir has served in the Indian Foreign Service for 37 years. His previous postings were as Deputy Chief of Mission in the Embassy of India, Washington, High Commissioner of India to Kenya, and Permanent Representative of India to the United Nations in Nairobi, Ambassador and Deputy Permanent Representative of India to the United Nations, New York, and Ambassador to Fiji and 8 other South Pacific island states. He was the head of the Council for Higher Education of the state of Kerala, and he is the author of 7 books. He is presently the chairman of the Academic Council and director of NSS Civil Service Academy and the Director General, Kerala International Center. He is the recipient of Sri Chitira Tirunal National Award and many other awards. I wholeheartedly invite you, sir, for the motivational talk. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that very generous introduction. I often wonder whether you're talking about me or someone else. But thank you very much for being so kind. This is not the first time that I'm in St. Thomas College. During my time as the Vice Chairman of the Higher Education Council, I had the privilege of visiting our college. I still have happy memories of that. So I'm grateful to Prep Academy for this matchmaking that is bringing me once again to your college. I'm grateful to them and thank you very much for inviting me. Well, this is the time when there is a transformation in the lives of young people. As the principal rightly pointed out, there is a huge change between your experience in school and your experience in the college or the university as it will be known. I think of my own experience as to how I came to Trivandrum for the first time to join a college. And everything was so different that it was very difficult for us to adjust ourselves. First to the medium of instruction. We shifted from Malayalam to English overnight without any preparation. And a new atmosphere, new friends, new teachers, everything was so different. And for a few months at least, I was not sure where I was and what I was doing. There was really no induction program those days. Nobody bothered to tell us what was expected of us. And we had our own dreams, of course, and we pursued them vigorously. And that is why we were able to overcome that big chasm, that big divide between the school education and college education. But you must be already familiar with the surroundings, familiar with the style, familiar with the language, all this in the last few days that you have been here. So let me welcome you to this new life, full of expectation, full of promise, and full of, hopefully, happiness. But that brings me to the point that we are in exceptional circumstances today. This generation, my generation, for example, born after the Second World War, has never had a crisis of this kind. We hear about crises before us, but all the crises that took place, say, between the Second World War and today, did not involve us so much as this pandemic has done. COVID-19 has covered every human being, not only every human being, every living being, and every structure, every convention, everything has been affected by this particular virus. Why is it so? Because it's a matter of existence for humanity. You have crises of various kinds, but this is one crisis where we do not know how many of us will survive it. The number of people whom we have lost, the number of young people whom we have lost, the number of relatives that we have lost, number of friends we have lost, have all made us rather gloomy. And in the middle of all that, we had no opportunities to travel, to meet your dear and near ones, and all these have made life very difficult for you at this time. And coming to the college itself in real life was a question mark, whether we would ever be able to get back to the college campus. So you are facing a number of challenges, and I'm familiar with that. But I'll not go into that, because it's a time when we have to think in terms of hope, think in terms of dreams, think in terms of success. Of course, the topic is dreaming a successful life. That is very easy. You can just dream a successful life. But that is probably not what you mean by asking me to speak about dreaming a successful life. It is also planning a successful life. It is also achieving a successful life. I would even say that what you should be seeking need not be successful, but happy lives. There is a big difference, because happiness comes to you in your own mind. You sense happiness, while success is determined by other people. There is a big difference. And you cannot determine what the others consider you to be successful or not. And therefore, it is better to focus on happiness rather than success. Success brings you to happiness, and happiness brings you a sense of fulfillment. In fact, there is one country in the world which has been measuring success, measuring development on the basis of gross national happiness. I don't know whether you have heard of this country. I have served there some years ago in the Himalayas, on the right, on the northern frontiers of India, somewhere between India and China. It's a little country called Bhutan. Not very highly developed in the sense that we understand development, because they still remain in a developed, but at the same time very primitive circumstances. Primitive in our view, but from their point of view, it's a success and it is happiness. So they taught the world to measure development by happiness. Gross National Happiness Index is what they say. And they stick to their traditions, they stick to their family ties, their clothing, their food habits all remain unaffected. Many of the young people come to study in India, particularly in Darjeeling, etc. And they are totally merged with the Indian culture and civilization. They are as excited about Bollywood as we are. And therefore, there is a very close link also between India and Bhutan. But the interesting thing is, while we want to be successful and developed and become, as Dr. Abdul Kalam taught us, to be in a developed country. He dreamt that we will be a developed country by 2020. But 2020 has passed and we are not yet a developed country. We are still a developing country, and we have many more things to accomplish to become a developed country. But he told us to dream about it, because dreaming is the first towards happiness. Because dreams have no barriers. It has no glass ceiling. You can dream about anything that you want. Whether you get it or not, whether you will be successful or not, whether you will be happy or not, is not the important point. The important point is whether what you will be dreaming about. Will you dream about a future which is brighter than what you have seen? Or will you dream out a future which would be worse than you have seen? Certainly it has to be a better future that we all have to have in mind. And that future may not be very clear to you. You may not know what to expect. You may not know what to believe in and how to move forward. But the first thing in life is to dream. And dream is not at all limited in any way, even if success is sometimes limited. Why did Dr. Abdul Kalam say that India will be developed in the year of 2020? He knew it very well that it will not happen. Because to become a developed country, India needs much more progress, much more economic growth, much more global influence, many more friends and associates who can depend upon. So it's a long way away. It starts with economic development, scientific development. It starts with the construction of the country, building the infrastructure, building the education system. All this we have been through. Thankfully, we had very good leaders of the freedom movement. And those leaders continued for many years to administer this nation. So the dream that they had in their mind when they thought of freedom, and those are the same ideas they try to emulate and bring about in the country. We were one of the poorest countries of the world when we became independent. We didn't have an infrastructure, we didn't have a system. We opted for democracy because we have had a long tradition of democracy in India, and therefore we had no option, or we did not want to have any other system than a democratic structure where everybody participates, everybody has a role to play. Maybe if you had adopted a capitalist system or a communist system, maybe things would have moved faster, because there the leadership is in one hand or a few hands. While here, the whole population, the Constitution guarantees the freedom of expression, the freedom of action, the freedom of worship, whatever you need, whatever you want, are ensured in our Constitution. So some people may argue that by adopting a democratic process, perhaps we have delayed our development. But it is worth it, because we are seeing that wherever restrictions have been imposed on personal liberties, any control or government on the life of the people, those governments have not succeeded in winning the popularity in the country. So that is very important. The fact that you can have the freedom to express your views, have the freedom to follow the paths that you deserve and desire, all these are part of democracy. And therefore, we did not choose either of the two blocks, of the power blocks, which existed when India became independent in 1947. You know, the United States led the Western group and the Soviet Union led the Eastern group. One was capitalistic, the other was communist. But Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, the great prime minister that we had, he was able to take a path between them, because he thought India would not be stifled by ideological chains. India would move freely and openly forward for the interest of the country, rather than being under the influence of countries of our colonial masters. So that was also a hard path, because we did not have ready-made friends. We had to make friends. We had to cultivate countries through a policy of what was known at that time as the non-aligned movement. 60 years ago, that was established by, among others, by Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru and various other leaders of Asia, Africa, and Latin America. So we should consider ourselves fortunate to have had a long heritage. India has more than 5,000 years of history. Most of the countries of the world today cannot claim that. Many of them are 200 years old or 300 years old. They may be developed countries, but they do not have a grand civilization to back them up. Of course, China has, Greece has, Egypt has. There are other countries with rich heritage. But there is no other country in the world where this heritage has continued unbroken over the centuries. Many civilizations have drowned. Many civilizations have collapsed. But Indian civilization, like the Chinese civilization, has continued for centuries and has given us the leadership and the pathway to the future. So, when you decide to dream, be assured that you are in an old civilization which has its values, which has its ideas, which has its plans for the future. Many, many things that are scientifically proved today were practiced in India a long time ago. When you talk about looking after nature, there's a lot of talk these days about saving the climate. We must go back to nature. The circulation of life and the economy must be there. You cannot ignore what was in the past. And therefore, that is the first advantage that you have. When you dream of a future, you can dream it on the basis of all these lovely kind of things that we can have in India, which in many other countries you cannot do. And then, after 75 years, we can be reasonably proud that India is very much a growing economy. In fact, it is not an emerging country anymore. It has already emerged as a powerful nation. We are not a superpower, but certainly we are not super poor. We have the resources, the energy, the structure, everything. And if there was no pandemic, I have no doubt we would have done much better than we are doing today. But that is something on which we have no control. So on the one hand, you have this dream. On the other hand, you have the reality. But in between, you can still be happy. Happy with what you have. Happy with what you think you can get in the future. Happy with what you have and what you can think about in the future and things that you work for. So this is the first effort that all of you have to make, is to feel proud of being an Indian, being proud of an Indian civilization, and look at all the systems, structures that we have from the perspective of an ideal world that people had imagined. Of course, Kerala has been particularly imaginative in thinking of an ideal world, because we sing every year when Onam comes of a land where everybody was equal. Everybody was just. There was no theft, no deception. Of course, this is a far cry from what Keralam is today, because today's Keralam has all kinds of problems. But what we have is the ability to dream of a land, an ideal land, where people were happy. People had everything that they wanted, and they did not cheat each other. So even in the reality of what Keralam is today, we are actually dreaming of an utopia, a dream world which Mahabali is supposed to have built. Maybe there was no Mahabali. This was just the dream of a few people who narrated what a beautiful land would be, what Keralam should be in the future. So that is the job you have, is to cherish your culture, your civilization, and watch the progress it has made over the years in every field, spiritual to the scientific. And then, as the inheritors of this culture, this civilization, this country, We need to contribute to it and make it grow further. That is our role. The time that we are in this world, whatever number of years you are here, how much can you contribute to this? Not how much you can grab from it. Because your duty as a citizen is not to exploit life, not to exploit nature, but to contribute to life and contribute to nature. So that is the real spirit behind building what you call a successful life, what I call a happy life. What are the components of this? Happiness you can find even in sannyasa. There are many people who have abandoned everything, renounced everything, and gone to the Himalayas to pray for the rest of their lives. You may not consider them successful, but imagine Shankaracharya, for example. Wasn't he successful? A short life that he had. He contributed so much to the world, so much to the society. Think of Swami Vivekananda. Also, very short life he transformed the Western view of what India is. So similarly, each one of you has a destiny. And that destiny you can fulfill only if you dream about that destiny. And that destiny need not be based on what you think is possible to accomplish, but on the basis of what you need to accomplish for our life. And first and foremost, I'm sure everybody will tell you that the most important thing is to be well educated. And education has many definitions. Some people say education is simply to make better human beings of you. Fair enough. It is to make better human beings of you. And that is why we read about our culture, our society, our leadership, our freedom for struggle, 5-year plans, and the various reforms made by different prime ministers, up to Sri Narendra Modi today, who has his own dreams. So all this has to come to you in the process of your education. You need a modern, up-to-date, comprehensive education. And that is what successive governments have planned. But unfortunately, we cannot claim that we in India have an upper hand in our education system. Because ours is not a uniform development. We have good schools, some of them best in the world, and we have schools which do not even have a roof, where school children are bitten by snakes in the classrooms. So imagine the contrast, imagine the reality of life. And in all these circumstances, you have to survive. I studied in a school where we had to move around depending on from where the rain came, to escape the rain inside the classroom. And from there we have now modern facilities, modern schools, not everywhere, but there are many. And that is where you make your first choice. Where are you going to put your money on, as it were? After your dream, once you have set up a dream for yourself, then you identify the steps you have taken, or identify the accomplishment that you already got, and then build on it. What is the best way to do it? Every day before you sleep, take 10 minutes out of your sleep and think about what you have done during that day. Did you have a plan for that day? Or were you carried away by whatever happened around you? That's what normally happens. But the best thing to do is to plan your next day. What exactly am I supposed to accomplish tomorrow? If necessary, note down on a piece of paper. And then, next evening, before you sleep, think about what I have accomplished. Think about the successes and the failures. And then you will know what to plan for tomorrow. So, success does not come without a system. It does not come without a timetable. It does not come without support from your parents, your friends, your teachers, the society, the leadership. Everybody is giving you hints as to what you can do to contribute. And therefore, even though you have lost a year and a half in the pandemic, this is the time for you to plan for your future individually and collectively. We have a collective objective, definitely. We have a foreign policy, we have an economic policy, we are striving to make India one of the most prosperous countries of the world, but we are all part of that effort. And where do you fit into this system? And that you have to establish yourself. So set your standards. Look at your role models around you, your teachers, your friends. Most of you, the parents themselves will be the role models because they have struggled, they have accomplished something, and their focus is only on you. Your focus may not be only on your parents. You may have other interests. But think of them. As far as they are concerned, their focus is on how you grow up. And that process, they may advise you, they may criticize you, they may tell you that you have not done well. All this can happen. But the only objective in their minds is that you should grow up as an ideal person. And they may dream of things that they could not accomplish. And they would want you to accomplish what they could not. And that is another strategy of the parents. I could not become a doctor, but my daughter should be. I did not become a civil servant, but my son should be. And that kind of dream all of them have. And parents share their dream with you. You don't have to compromise. If your parents' dream does not match yours, you pursue your own dream. And they will understand. And for that, you need to know yourself. What are your capabilities? What are your potentials? In many educational systems, in many parts of the world, this is determined by others for you. You may be surprised to know that in many countries, everybody does not complete school and go to a college, complete that and go to a university, do a PhD. No, that is a waste of time. We have to identify the talent in each one of us. And the parents and the teachers should be able to determine what kind of track they should guide you to. And if there is a mistake, that track has to be adjusted also. But what we need to do in the education system, which we do not have, is a liberal education system, where you can choose what you want to learn and not what you are supposed to learn. We have the system of physics, chemistry, biology, and physics, chemistry, mathematics, and history, politics, and economics. They are all married together as though that is the guarantee of the success of our education system. It is not. We should allow our children to choose what they want. Yes, you want to do physics, but who says you should do chemistry also? Why not do some music with physics? Do not do some art with physics? Why not we do some charitable activities or whatever subject that gets you interested in? Because we don't know what functions you will be performing as an adult. So we should be prepared for all these. And if you identify what you really want to achieve, then single-mindedly pursue it. Do it again and again and again. I know young people preparing for the civil service examination, doing it again and again. And they succeed, maybe the fourth time, maybe the fifth time. Unfortunately, in my time, we had only 2 chances. But now, young people have 6 chances between the age of 21 and 32 to prepare for the civil service examination. So you can really work hard and change your dream and change your trajectory and then accomplish something that you you or your parents have dreamt of. And talking of parents' dreams, we must all be knowing the title of Barack Obama's autobiography. The name of the autobiography is My Father's Dream. And this must be true of all of you. When you write your autobiography many years later, you may think that the title should be My Father's Dream or My Mother's Dream, because that is where you end up with. It may coincide with, the dreams may coincide at one point, but most of the time, even if sleeping on one bed, we have different dreams. So we should not try and restrain them. You must try them out. You must try and see how you can acquire the advantages of having an open, choice-based education. So we are moving slowly to that choice-based education. You must have all heard about the new education policy, which has certain features which will enable you to make this choice at different times in your life. At the moment, you don't have. When you go to the college, you have to take one course or the other, which is all tied up together. You cannot change that. You cannot have a totally liberal education. You cannot change course. If you are doing a graduation, you cannot halfway through say that, no, I don't want the subject, I want to change the subject. But the new education policy allows that. They allow you to decide and choose and quit, if you like, at different stages and come back and use the credits that have been given to you. You cannot imagine something more liberal than that. And so the degree will be 4-year degrees are coming, where you can leave after 1 year with just a diploma, 2 years, or with a certificate, 3 years with a degree, and if you do 4 years, you go for higher education. And those who do not go for higher education, that's not the end of their lives. There are so many other options other than doctor, engineer, civil servants, and teachers. There are so many professions which are as important as those of teachers and doctors and engineers and civil servants. In fact, what we consider to be menial jobs, or what we consider to be below the dignity of a family person to follow. But those turn out to be much more important than what the scholars were. You must know that the plumber, the electrician, the contractor, all of them have professions which are as satisfying and as demanding as the white-collar jobs. So don't be stuck to the idea of a white-collar job, because then what will happen is you will pursue a white-collar job for some time, and then you may be forced to do what I call a blue-collar job, and you should be successful in either of them, because you cannot choose many times what the eventual result of your education will be. And that is why the government is now talking about introducing vocational training for students, even when they are in schools. Because we are accustomed to the idea of the parents looking after you till you settle down in life, get married, and sometimes even after getting married, you do not leave your parents and they stick around, hoping that they will take care of you. They will, but this does not happen in many other countries of the world. At the age of 17, you must say goodbye to your parents and look after yourself. And there is a social system which will enable to do so. And we are also building that, because there is no point in doing something without any definite conclusions or hopes. So all this are the new things which are coming. But at the moment, our first priority in the world today is to survive. That is something which is very important during the Corona days. Survival physically, because if you do not survive, your dream cannot materialize. So first and foremost, learn to take precautions. Learn to take care of yourself, because nobody else can take care of you. So you must be very conscious of the fact that there is a threat to human existence around us. And unless this is controlled, human activities of the future cannot be predicted. So take your vaccination, wash your hands, wear your masks, keep away from others. The whole concept of being close to somebody is now different. The farther you are away from somebody, you are helping him and helping yourself. So not the old tradition of being close physically, but being close spiritually and mentally, and keep a distance physically is the norm, what is called the new norm after the pandemic. So that should be your first priority. Then it should be pursuing your dream and then succeeding in it even after several attempts. And career guidance is something new, and certainly in Kerala, because we followed advice of the elders and went on. But now it is different. And also your options are very different. When I was in school or just entered college, I did not have many options in front of me. Everybody will say doctor, engineer. Okay, we can try for that. Then some people will say, no, you do history or politics or geography or law and do other things. But everybody was looking for a government job because there were no private jobs. There are no big industries for you to go and join. If you wanted to do that, you had to go to Mumbai or Calcutta or New Delhi. And within Kerala, opportunity is very, very small. Very few medical colleges, very few engineering colleges. And so it was very tough to enter any of them. And so it is not your first choice that you pursue. And now it's a very different life altogether. Because the private sector has grown, not as much in Kerala as elsewhere, but private sector and new education systems offer you much greater benefits than a doctor or a civil servant or an engineer would get. Because there is competition, there is recognition of merit. Today what you need is not a huge dream about a huge industrial complex. Many things are small in life which make big changes. An innovative idea, a new idea which should fulfill a need is going to succeed. Like all these inventions of Google and artificial intelligence and robotics, all these have come out of the recognition of a need for these services, goods and services. And once that need is identified, you try to create that need, create that answer, and not just sit back and say, I cannot help this. So the idea is that you look around and see what is it that you would have liked to have. What is the kind of service that you like to have? And then find out whether it is there. Or if not, then you invent it. So your invention and innovation should be directed towards the need of the person, the need of the society. And then what you innovate, what you create will be accepted and will be successful. So that is where we have to think what your success will be And today, you know that the private sector is very significant. There are various opportunities, much better than in the government, in the private sector. If you are an IIT or an IIM graduate, you will get much higher salaries than what a civil servant will get. And similarly, the opportunities abroad for education, for study, have all increased. There was a time when everybody had to go abroad. Pandit Nehru went abroad, Mahatma Gandhi went abroad. But that is not necessary now. Equivalent education is available in India. But then beyond that, if you want to win a Nobel Prize, or you want to have the facilities of modern research, in many cases, people have to go abroad. So don't go abroad as a fashion, but as a part of your planning, what you want to be, and if the facilities are there here, it is better that we stick to those facilities. Many people ask me when they should go abroad to study. First of all, going abroad to study means the presumption is that your parents are rich, or there is somebody in your family who will be able to spend money on you, because foreign education is expensive, at least in the first few years. After that, probably you may be able to get a scholarship, etc. So ideally, today's world, what we need to do is for graduation, there is no need for you to go abroad. In fact, in many cases, the level of graduates and the number of things that they learn is much more in India than abroad at this point. But when you go for postgraduate education or when you go for research, then the other countries provide much greater opportunities. That is why many Indians win Nobel Prizes not when they live here, but when they live abroad. After Rabindranath Tagore, no Indian has ever won a Nobel Prize living in India. But many have lived Nobel Prizes living abroad. And that is an interesting situation also. So, in planning your future, in deciding on what you want to do, you should be well informed. And that is the whole point of career planning and career guidance. But you cannot follow a guidance or a career with the same kind of plan for everybody. You cannot have a career guidance which suits everyone in the group, because each one of you has a different dream, a different plan, a different objective. So each one of these has to be tailored to your needs, and that is where counseling is important. Talking to people who have the experience, the people who have seen the world, and perhaps be in the professions that you aspire to be in. Get to know these people, listen to them, and understand from them how they accomplish these things in their own lives, and how it can be copied, it can be imitated in a way that you follow the same kind of experience. But that's not very easy again. So, first and foremost, the important thing is to do whatever you are doing at its best, and follow things. But at the same time, read about other things, understand about other things, read the biographies of leaders whom you admire. 2 books you must always, for any young person to read, if you want to live in India and to understand India, are the books by Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, Discovery of India and Glimpses of World History. These are not thick books. These are rather small, 200, 300 pages books. But you must read them to understand. Many of you read newspapers, or whether you read it just to see the pictures, or to see whether you have won the lottery. But there are many other things in the newspapers. The whole world is in front of you. The information technology is such that doesn't matter what is important happens where and when. But in the morning you have it all in one place. Not just news, but analysis. about conjectures, about what is possible to happen, what each leadership is doing, what each country is doing. Everything ready made in front of you. It is like just having to swallow a tablet. If you spend 2 hours with a newspaper reading everything that is printed there, because there is nothing in the world which is less important than others. There are very many things which are equally important. And if you want to accomplish something in your life, specialization should come only at a later stage. You should be a generalist educator. You should be educated in a general manner. And you should not be saying, oh, this is not. So you should not think that this one or that one is not in your interest. Why should I know about sports? Why should I know who is the best sportsman in India? Important. I'm too young to read these things. I'm now looking for accomplishing many things. But it may be in the Ramayana or Mahabharata or Bhagavad Gita that you may find that little nugget of knowledge, that little piece of experience which will change your life. Novels. People ask me, why do we read novels? What is the point? Nehru, any of those famous leaders and works about them. And that will give you a perspective of various kinds. In America alone, I was posted in America 3 times. But I also had to go to Africa, I had to go to Latin America, I had to go to Asia. Because the foreign service or foreign policy is meant for all the countries of the world. So you cannot focus on one country and say that this is a stone and do. If you are at the United Nations, you are dealing with 193 countries all the time. How are you going to understand them? How are you going to explain what their mind is like? For that you need study. In the last few days you must have seen all the commentaries that is appearing on one meeting between 2 people, President Biden and President Xi Jinping. Why these 2 people? Because they are leaders of the industry.